What is up, guys?
Guys?
You wearing glasses?
Oh, yeah. My contacts broke, so...
They didn't, tear. They broke. What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with...
Gershwan!
With his glasses, and we're back at it answering another Q&A video thing.
For the greater... This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question, because we get to those questions first.
And there is some toothpaste on the floor.
Yeah. This question comes from Reject X7.
You got hot sauce over
I got hot sauce, yeah. My room's a mess. That's what happens when you build D&D terrain.
Just take a look.
Yeah. His question is, how do the sororitas recruit noble girls from their order? Is it a thing where the parents volunteer their daughters and they are sent to a boot camp and given to an order based on results? So, most Adeptus Sororitas are recruited from the Schola Progenium. So what that is like if you are an Imperial... If you're within the Imperial Guard and you die and you had children, and your wife also dies, these orphan kids get put into the Schola Progenium, and then they go through the ranks. Most of them, the top of the top, as far as like the class goes, get sent out to either become Adeptus Sororitas, Inquisitors, Commissars, all this kind of stuff. But that's one way, and the most common way to recruit. The other one is just being born into that whole society. Cardinal worlds, I mean, because Adeptus Sororitas aren't allowed to have children.
They're like nuns.
Basically, yeah. And then the last way is, like you said, they are donated. The parents are basically saying, like, take my kids. Saint Teresa, I think her name was. We did a 40 Facts video on her, but she's one of the ones that, like, from the very beginning, she was destined to be an Adeptus Sororitas.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool to think that, like, you're put into a school that's, like, just training you to become fucking badass.
Yes. Next question.
This one's also about Imperial Guardsmen. River Moon 916. What is the longest an Imperial Guardsman has been in active duty? Pretty much as long as they can be. Like, there's no really retirement for them.
Nope.
You're in the Imperial Guard pretty much until you die, and chances are you're gonna die.
Yeah. Most Imperial Guardsmen will see one campaign. If they've done more than one campaign, they're considered veterans. So.
Yeah, pretty much. That shows you, like, just how much of a small percentage they have to live.
Yeah. Next question comes from the Space Wolf 114. Who would win in an arm wrestle between either Space Marines or Primarchs? So I'm guessing, like, I think you're trying to say, like, what chapter is the best at arm wrestling? I would give it up to the Salamanders, just because they're naturally bigger than most Space Marine. And then for Primarchs,
Vulcan,
yeah.
Because he's, like, the biggest.
Yeah.
The strongest.
The strongest.
State of mind. Do you think that we will have the technology to create a true 30K or 40K series in all of its glory within our own lifetimes, without it having to cost $1 trillion? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, all the CGI that's been going, like, just advancing throughout the years, it's hard to differentiate what's CGI and what's real if it's, like, shot really well nowadays. So yeah, it's 100% doable. The thing is, it's not going to get done because it's not a widely popular topic. And because of that, you're not going to generate a huge amount of sales. And if you don't get money for it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me is that Netflix is pumping out all these ridiculous, like, Netflix specials. And they can't do a 40 Facts one. 40K one. I think the reasoning for that is that they're just picking up all the movies that were already created but never actually got picked up by a studio. So, like, Netflix is saying, oh, yeah, we'll put it in our streaming thing. Hopefully, in the future, we'll get some 40K Netflix thing. But like you said, the popularity isn't really there.
Like, it could easily be something like like Marvel, because you could talk about this story, talk about this character, talk about that Space Marine Legion, the Imperial Guard, and then just broaden the scope to where you have this intergalactic battle, kind of like Endgame would be. But for that to happen, you gotta live in a different reality. One day.
Next question comes from waking up at 2 p.m. That's way too late, man. Your day is over.
Yeah.
How can you pronounce Adeptus Arbitus correctly, but not Adeptus Custodes? Ha 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 ha. We purposefully mispronounce things because it's fun to get comments.
Gersh 1? You mean Goish 1?
Goish 1? Next question.
Oh, this one's by Pineapple. Which character would you like to overcome the Curse of the Wolfen, or anything similar to it? Also, Murderfang is the Wolven Dread, and he is held in use by Hellfrost weapons, freezing him after battles. They kind of just point him in a direction, and he somewhat listens to commands. Somewhat like a Wolfen. But yeah, you're right. That was his name. Because we couldn't think of it the last time.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it wouldn't want to... To me, Space Wolves can be Wolfen. Like that's badass. That's cool. But I feel like something that's worse than that is the Black Rage. Because once you fall to the Black Rage, you're destined for death. There's no saving you. And I think that if somebody... Well, I think that there's very few Blood Angels that have actually come back from that. I think there's been like 1 or 2. But I think to have like Corbulo, he's dead now, but if he were to come back from that, that kind of would have been like a nice redemptive arc for him. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I think Wolfen's cool. It's a genetic defect, part of the gene seed, so that's bad. But I think the benefits outweigh the negatives there. However, the Black Rage, that's gotta stop.
Fair enough. Next question comes from Starlight Eater. Did YouTube take your guys' video down for 420 about which faction smokes pot? The conclusion, the orcs are weed. It was hysterical. I don't know, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
YouTube has been pretty critical of the channel within the last year. Or, yeah, it's only been, 4 months, 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they've been pretty critical of our stuff, which doesn't make sense because this is a fictional universe. They're just... Their algorithm is kind of difficult, and
especially when like it's Warhammer. It's like you got the name War in it, and that's just kind of like
yeah. And it's not for what most people think. Like it's for like blood, showing blood. It's kind of like, oh, we could talk about the Demon Kulaba, which is like taking women, sewing them together, and putting like fetuses of superhumans in them. But if the thumbnail shows blood, then that's bad. And it's just kind of like, oh, well, okay. Our hands are tied. And we were just talking about this before the video started. When it comes to issues with YouTube, as a YouTube creator, you don't have that much power.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing with like sometimes our videos aren't getting to you. Like they're not being put into the sub boxes. Or like even if you ring the notification bell, you don't get notifications. Like,
yeah,
we can't do anything about that. That's YouTube thing.
Yeah. So, if you could, supporting us on Patreon is a big help because by doing that, it kind of secures us a little bit. So thank you for all of our patrons.
Yes.
Next one. I have one from Timothy Armstrong. I want to start Warhammer 40K, and I like the Salamanders a lot. Is there a box set for them?
No.
The cool thing about Salamanders, though, is they're very, very basic. The only real issue is, like, Flamers. Because that's really what they're all about.
Flamers, Meltas, Thunderhammers.
Yeah. If you really want a unique Space Marine Salamanders chapter, then what you should do is buy the 30K Salamander stuff. Because they already come with their scaled skin. We have a friend who plays Salamanders. He bought a 30K army and he plays it as 40K. It looks amazing on the battlefield. But yeah, if you just want to play Salamanders, pick up any box set, any starter box set, other than like the the ones with Space Wolves or with
just
Dark Angels.
Dark Angels. But even though you could still kind of maybe like, I don't know, put some green stuff, work around it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's by AMS. What do Space Marines do if their drop pod falls into the ocean or gets stuck in the side of a cliff?
Space Marines can actually breathe underwater. There's your aquatic craze.
There it is, yeah.
One of the gene seeds actually gives them gills, or gives them the ability to, breathe underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, if they're stuck in a cliff, they can literally just like pound their way out of the drop pod, and like they can survive that. Like,
That's not to say that they don't die from drop pods, because now that I've been doing the battles, a lot of the battles depict images where like the drop pods are coming down and they're getting blown up. So what Space Marines do, and this is in the lore, what they do is they send in these drop pods that are empty. They just have the auto turrets. So the enemy's focusing on them. Once that first wave is done and the enemy has kind of like has to reload or whatever it is, then the real like drop pods come down. Check out our 40 facts on which one was it? I think it was Space Wolves Space Marines versus Tau. I know it was something like that, because of the plasma weapons were just destroying all of the drop pods and they weren't able to land, something like that. Next question.
This one is by the Zero Stroy. Who has more prerogatives and political/military power? Horace Lupercal when he was the War Master, or now currently Robert Guilliman as Lord Commander?
Definitely Horus.
Yeah.
The whole reason that the Horus Heresy was such a big civil war is because Horus had control over everything. The Navy, the Imperial Guard, it was called the Imperial Army at the time. Now, Guilliman wants to keep all that separate. The Inquisition is separate. Space Marines still have their autonomy. The Imperial Navy and the Imperial Guard are not the same.
This one's by Trenchcoat Bandit. So I'm currently playing a 40k style orc in my D&D game. How should I uphold the Green Boys' name?
You could give him a name from from 40k. WAAAGH is probably the best one, because he's not an actual character, or he's not in the codex anymore. And WAAAGH is a very good guttural name. That's really what you want to do. You want to have a lot of U's and O's and R's.
I feel like that's really easy to role play, because you don't have to come up. Well, I guess you could come up with an accent, but you could just talk in low Gothic, and play style. You just gotta hit things hard.
Yeah. Next question comes from Rivermoon916. What is the longest of? Sorry, we already read that one. I have one from this is going to be the last one. The Do 2552. Can you guys do a breakdown video on individual spaceships or even a major space battle? Yeah, we could do that this week. We'll do a major space battle for you. I know that you asked that last week, and I said, yeah, we'll try to get the Battle Fleet video done. And just in case you didn't see our response to that, our big problem with Imperial Navy videos is that the images are really hard to find. So if we're showing you what this type of battleship looks like, there's only one image to work off of, and that's really hard to keep it entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. If you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. If you want to support us, link in the description. It's a simple $1 a month, and it helps us from YouTube consuming us. Like Slanesh and the Eldar.
Oh, yeah. But again, thanks for all your questions, and we'll catch you in the next one. I am the Sound Alchemist.
There's one.
And we are out of here.
Oh, I used to put my freedom first in any